Hi, I'm Tim from Class CV and we're here with Vikki from Headspace and we're going to be talking about disabilities. Some conditions are more obvious than others. More and more young people are being diagnosed with a mental illness and often those around them are not aware of their suffering. So, how many young people are affected by mental illness and what are the most common conditions that affect teenagers today?
Generally speaking, there's about a kind of 1 in 4, 1 in 5. So of every 5, or between 4 and 5 young people, there's one of those people will have a mental health problem. Before we did work with young people, because young people aren't necessarily the best help seekers in the world, what tended to happen was that the adults would go and get help for a problem, and by the time they got there was other things in their lives that had kind of got interrupted by their problem, whatever it was. They'd stopped hanging out with mates, they'd stopped doing a whole range of things, and so that's what we think about as the disability is the secondary effect. So your question was around the most common conditions, and they're quite clearly anxiety and depression in young people at the moment. So problems with how people feel, like feeling really sad and flat all the time, and also problems
Could that
with...
be to do with school or is it just happens to teenagers more often?
Yeah, it's good that you asked more about it. I mean, what major depression is a problem with mood that cuts across all areas of your life. So if you're kind of generally, your mood's going to go up and down because that's perfectly normal. Mine does, yours does, everybody else's does. But if things change in your life and actually you feel pretty terrible most of the time, you can't really get out of bed, you can't be bothered doing most of the stuff that you used to really like, then, and a whole lot of other symptoms, then that's when we would start thinking about maybe that there's something more serious going on with your mood.
Yeah. How do disorders such as depression, anxiety, stress impact on people's lives, and what are the causes?
Well, I guess they can affect people's lives in heaps of different ways, but what we're in some ways worried about the most is people stopping doing the stuff that might keep them going through life. So you asked about affecting school before, and like if you feel really terrible and you can't get yourself up and go to school, over time, if you're not going to pass and you're going to end up dropping out or whatever, then that's going to really change things in your life. So the effect of not getting help and not getting better can be quite long lasting if it means that you drop out of school or lose contact with friends or that kind of stuff. In terms of causes, there's lots of different what we call risk factors that lead to mental health problems, and generally they fall into the kind of family history biology thing. Like you might have what we think about as I might be more likely to become depressed because my grandmother had depression and my uncle or whatever. But then there's a series of events that happen in my life that make it more likely that I would be triggered with depression. So I might have had a terrible relationship breakup, and maybe my grandfather died or whatever, that there's some triggering events. And then generally speaking, I for whatever reason haven't learnt particular coping skills that might help me get through those experiences in a different way.
What does Headspace provide to young people that are experiencing a mental illness?
I guess it depends on what it is that they're presenting with, but generally what we would try and do is what we want to do is provide a service that is easy to get. So you can get it from your own home, on the phone, online, whatever. That it's done by a professional, so someone that knows what they're doing, and that you get the right help for your particular problem. So if you've got anxiety, that someone knows how to treat that particular problem, and that you can get it fast, and that it's in an environment that you're comfortable with because other young people are there. And our centres are designed, like the waiting rooms and stuff are designed with young people, so hopefully it's kind of somewhere that feels okay to be.
Feels safe and secure. What advice would you give to someone who thinks they might be experiencing a mental illness or disorder, or someone they know someone who might be?
I mean, quite obviously, the first thing I'm going to say is go to Headspace. What we generally want young people to do is let someone know, and it's often not, your parents might not be the first person that you want to talk to, right? But and it might be kind of scary to tell some of your friends, But there's maybe someone somewhere.
So maybe a school counsellor or something like that.
Yeah, school counsellor, coach, anyone, like some kind of adult or older sibling, someone. We know now lots of young people look for information online. So, there's good information on our website and lots of other websites now, and they'll direct people about the right way to get help. But there's Headspace is available all the time.
Yeah.
There's centres in and around most cities, Headspace centres that is. So, let someone know.
All right. Thanks very much for your time, Vikki. You've been very helpful.
No worries.